Hi, Empress Justice here, and welcome to the early June 2026 reading for Aries. This is for Ashwini, Barani, and Kritika. And for my Western Arians in the audience, you want your Sun, Moon, and Lagna. All right, let's get started. Now, when it comes to your main cards, we have the Nine of Winter, we have the Four of Swords, and we have within the next few months. Okay, so I'm sorry to break it to some of my Aryan friends, but some of you either might be going through a really rough time or you're about to. I'm sorry to say for some of you. Not all of you, but some of you. Some of you are being basically like beaten down by the universe into resting, which is really brutal. But I think the whole point is that some of you have been running yourselves ragged, pushing yourselves too far and too hard. And now you have to accept where you are as a person or where you are as a sign right now. You're trying to push against something that's inevitable. You're trying to push against something that you can't really control, and it's having an effect on your health and it's having an effect on your psyche. I feel like the worst case scenario that you think might happen, for some of you, it might. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This says that your fears are unfounded, but let's have a look at the cards first, okay? You might have like a worst case scenario. The thing that I would guard against is thinking that you're not going to be able to cope or that you're not going to be able to manage. You absolutely will, because you're very resilient and you're very strong. And there's something about Martian signs where it feels like just when everything is against you and everything is up against the wall, that's when you start to shine. And some of you Aries can become a little bit of a badass when you have hardships on your back. You can turn into somebody that's strong, capable, competent. So you're not going to be like adrift. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not adrift here. You're going to cope brilliantly with what's coming up. Now let's see what these cards say. Nine of Winter says unfounded fear, focusing on worst case scenarios, allowing worry to grow out of proportion to the problem. Again, you have reason to feel fearful, but again, it's your ability to cope that you're in fear of. But your ability to cope is a lot greater than you fear it is. It's not the situation you need to be afraid of. It's your ability to manage the situation. You're going to manage the situation quite well. Quite well. That's what's going on here. It's not the problem itself that you're worried about, because you know there are certain things that have to happen in order for certain things to move forward. That's not what worries you. What worries you is how you're going to cope. But you're going to cope extremely well. And on top of that, you're going to be forced to rest. Some of you are going to be forced to let other people take care of you. And that's not a state that you're used to, honestly. It says set aside your concerns for now. You can make a decision later. Solutions that come from meditation, the need for sleep, or a vacation. Yeah, you got to slow down. But this thing that you feared would happen, yeah, again, you cope very well with it. And I think the reason for that is because what some of you Arians might be fearing is a loss of autonomy, but your autonomy is not going to be taken from you. The only thing that's going to happen is that you're going to get the help when you're supposed to get it. If you need help with like your mental state or your physical state or your life in general or anything to do with professionalism, you're going to get the help. That's literally all that's going to happen. That's your worst case scenario. Your worst case scenario is realizing that you didn't have a life as sewn up as you thought you did, only to realize that what's happening is actually going to help you more than it would have done if you'd have got what you wanted. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a fire sign is that they get what they want. Sometimes that's the worst thing that can happen to them, because it's like, You know, a lot of fire signs, they don't know how to cope with that kind of excess, okay? They can take other people's excesses, but they also have to take away their own. That's the purpose of a fire sign, right? Not just a fire sign, but you see what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know, you have an excess of not autonomy, but you have an excess of pride. And there's going to be a situation that forces you to humble yourself, but it's not going to be for your worse. It's going to be for your betterment. This talks about, yeah, like, oh my God, a lot of you Aries, you feel trapped in your situation. You're feeling trapped by all this worst case scenario business. Again, this is like you hate this. This is something that you can't stand. You can't stand negativity. And it just feels like, you know, with so much emphasis on your vulnerabilities, it feels like you're being made to feel hemmed in. You're being made to feel trapped. That's not what's going on, but I understand the mentality. I get it. You don't want to feel trapped. You don't want to feel like you're not in control of your own life. I get it. Worst case scenario could be a factor, but again, you're going to cope extremely well. And the people that want to try to put you in a worst case scenario, they're the ones that are going to have a problem here, not you. You are going to be able to rest for the first time in a long time. It's the people who want to try to put you in a worst case scenario that are going to have a fucking problem. So your worst case scenario comes true, but at a price for the people who put you in it. At a major price for the people who put you in it. This is not going to augur well for them. It's not going to augur well for anybody who tries to sabotage you. I'm just going to say that. Okay? So with the Five of Pentacles, I do see money troubles. I do see you not being as financially settled as you'd like to be. I do see that. I don't see a resolution to it necessarily, not yet. I feel like that will come, but I feel like as much as you might be struggling financially, it's like that's being replaced with actual help that you're getting. It's being replaced with like bigger picture stuff that needs taken care of. Like for some of you, it might be health. For others of you, it might be a living situation. For others of you, it might be your career. So it's like the walking around money that you usually like to have, that's being replaced with things that you actually need for your long-term future. And I feel like that's really important. Do you understand what I mean? It's important that you have a focus. It's important that you have like an objective for your life. It doesn't matter what stage of life that you're at. It's important that you have an objective, a reason why you do what you do. This is about the big picture. And I do feel like, yeah, there is going to be somebody who helps you connect with the bigger picture. So it's like there are smaller things in your life that are absolutely not going to turn out the way you wanted it to, but it's all in service of something bigger that not only do you need, but that low key you desire emotionally. Justice. Karma's balancing itself out. I feel like Aries, you're not going to get what you want, but it's going to turn out so much better for you. You're not going to get what you want, but it's going to turn out so much better for you than like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to, I knew it. As soon as I saw this card, I was like, you know what? I already know. I already know, because it's going to turn out that you're not going to get what you want. You're going to be refused what you want. You're going to be refused your excess. And then what ends up happening is that you end up in a way better position than you would have been if you'd have got what you wanted. So what I thought was going to be a really heavy and negative reading, not the case. It's just that emotionally, you might find it a little bit difficult. Yeah. So when it comes to the full moon in Anurada on May the 31st, it hit your 8th house, house of transformation and change. And God alone knows there's a lot of transformation and change happening in your life right now, Aries, right? So in the face of that, you need to focus on your second house. You need to focus on the things around you and the people around you that have stood the test of time. When things are being uprooted and moved around, like what holds the most value for you, not just materially, but emotionally, what holds the most value for you. And whatever it is, you need to kind of prioritize your daily life around those things, or to dedicate your daily life to managing those things for now. Keep your tasks and your endeavors smaller scale, because that is what will help you cope during a time where there is massive upheaval. There is so much going on and you're going to be all over the place. Okay, so yeah, the notes here says, they say overstimulations, restlessness, insomnia, sleep problems, nightmares. So yeah, there's a lot going on mentally in terms of your nervous system and in terms of the things that you don't want coming to pass, worst case scenario coming to pass, but it turns out to be better for you than it would have been if you'd have just gotten what you wanted. Know what I mean? So yeah, there are a lot of opportunities that are going to be ahead of you, but it's just going to be like, for June, it's going to be a little bit tricky, Aries. Buckle up. I'm sorry. But anyway, that was for my beautiful Arians. That was for Ashwini, Bharani, and Kritika. And for my Western Arians, Sun, Moon, and Lagna, I am Empress Justice. And I'll see you in the next reading. Okay, peace and blessings. Bye-bye, my darlings.